I want to see how big this beast is compared to your body.
Alright.
Oh my gosh, it's so fat.
Oh gosh.
Holy moly. Do you even have a knife big enough to cut through that?
No. Yeah, I got a machete.
Oh. Cool. Are you gonna pick the other one?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
This will be enough. But I want to pickle the rinds.
Happy?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna cut this end off and this end off so I can stand it up and cut it.
Okay. What color is it?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Is it ready?
Yeah, but
It's red?
It's not what I thought. It's a pale pink.
It's got like an orange ring.
I think
This
it's a yellow
variety
and-
that I planted last year that looked like this was a pale pink watermelon on the inside.
Oh, wait, what am I doing?
It wasn't like a dark red type watermelon, but we'll see. That's just the end, so
But the thing is, we gotta check the flavor.
yes.
And that tells you the
I
truth.
forget what this one was called. This is definitely a hybrid with a yellow. It's got a yellow
Look,
ring around the pink.
It's marbleized yellow.
So this one, this was a volunteer from last year, you guys.
Oh my
And we had
gosh.
yellow and red watermelons growing. And this color on the outside looks just like, I think it was like called something 10, hybrid 10 or something. And it's supposed to make a giant watermelon, a pink fleshed watermelon. But I
Okay.
think this one crossed with that and
Ready?
our yellow watermelons. Wow, look at the orange ring. It looks good though. Oh yeah, this is the hybrid one. Look at the color of the seeds.
Yeah, they're like, it wants to be seedless.
No, it wasn't
No?
a seedless one.
Mm.
The hybrid one had this color seed.
Oh, dude.
Smells so good.
I gotta taste this.
It smells really good.
Dude, that's like bubble gum. Oh my, super sweet.
Really?
Yes, no sour. Taste it, you'll like this.
Okay, we gotta seed save this one then.
Beckham.
Mmm.
Beckham, you gotta try it. It's like bubble gum, dude.
Wow.
Oh
That's
my.
a little too sweet for me.
No, that's perfect.
Mm-mm. Too sweet.
Sweetest watermelon you've ever had.
He said too sweet too, see?
Mm-mm.
I think it is. It's too sugary.
Oh my god.
I can't dehydrate that. That's gonna be way too sweet.
That is super sweet.
I wish you guys could smell this right now. It smells so good.
Mm.
It's wild.
Alright. So
See, I thought it was gonna be unripe, but
here,
it
get in
actually tastes
closer
really
and
good.
watch this juiciness. Oh gosh.
Okay, calm down. Save some to bring to your work buddies, and I'll pickle the rinds.
Babe, this is a 30-pound watermelon. There's gonna be plenty.
Straight from your field.
God.
Stop it!
I can't. I love watermelon. I don't think y'all understand. I wait all year for this.
Okay, wow, chill.
Oh, the camera's still on?
Chill.
Turn the camera off. All right, turn the camera off.
Looks good, babe.
Oh, that's so
Good job.
good.
Here's my recipe card for the pickles. These are my own recipes. And I'm using 50% vinegar that's at 5% acidity and 50% water. That's what's recommended and safe for pickling. But you could definitely use more vinegar if you like to. You just cannot go any higher on the water ratio. Also, I want to mention that the Thai style pickles I'm trying out is a brand new recipe that I've never tried before. So it's an experiment, but I'm providing the recipe anyway, and I will let you know in the description how those turned out if you're watching this at a later date. Also, I want to mention the pH of fish sauce and shrimp paste is above 5, sometimes higher than 6.5, so it's perfectly safe for canning. Alright, time to pickle some watermelon rinds. You're going to need a skinny spatula, some tongs, a jar lifter, a large ladle, and a funnel for filling jars, a canning funnel. And the spices that I'm going to be using are some habanero peppers and some Thai chilies, some garlic, fresh garlic, because that's the only way I use it, some peppercorns, some dill weed, dried or fresh, I like to use both, coriander seeds, and then we're also going to use some mustard seeds and some tahin, which is a chili lime salt sort of seasoning. You can find these at the Mexican market or really any grocery store. It's great on fresh fruit. And then also some squid brand fish sauce, and I'm also going to be using some shrimp paste, which I didn't show, and some salt and sugar. So I'm just cutting up my watermelon, and you can cut this up any way you want. I'm cutting up small triangles first because I'm going to dehydrate these and make them into like watermelon candy. And then on the rind part, I'm just kind of cutting them about 3 to 4 inches wide, and you'll see how I cut those kind of into French fry strips later. Also, I want to mention that I'm using a bunch of weird spices because I'm making 3 different types of pickled watermelon rind. One is going to be a Thai style pickling, the other will be a dill pickle, and then I'm going to do the chili lime pickling. So the Thai one is the one that's going to be using the shrimp paste and the fish sauce, and it's going to be sort of like a papaya salad som tum flavor, hopefully. Now, to peel your watermelon rinds, you can use a knife or you can use a potato peeler. The potato peeler is really difficult to use. Even though mine is really sharp, it's really hard to peel using the potato peeler, as you can see. So I just like to use the knife. It's super easy. The skin on this watermelon is actually really firm, which I'm kind of glad because that means I'm going to have crispier pickles. But some watermelon rinds are a lot softer and are much easier to peel than this. These are less than 1 inch thick. I really wouldn't go any more than 1 inch thick on these. I guess you could, but you wouldn't be able to eat them right away. You would have to wait quite a bit longer for the flavor to penetrate all the way through into the pickle. So I'm making these, I think they're about 3/4 of an inch thick. Also, I'm cutting some into kind of like shavings. So I'm cutting this really thin, and then I'm going to cut them again into even thinner strips. And this section is going to be for the Thai style pickling. The first one I did is going to be the dill. You're going to need 5% acidity vinegar, and most vinegars like white vinegar or apple cider vinegar are going to be 5% acidity, but that's what you really have to use for pickling. And you're going to use 1 quart of water and 1 quart of vinegar, so equal parts water to vinegar. And you're going to let that come to a rolling boil, and then you can turn it down on low. I like to heat my jars up in the oven at 225 degrees to sterilize them, and I use them as I need them. Also, you're going to boil your rings and your lids to sterilize them as well. I'm going to start off with the dill flavored pickles first, and these are the ones that I cut to a little over 1/2 inch thick, and these are about 3 to 4 inches long. And I'm sorry, I misplaced my tripod somewhere in the house, so I'm doing this all one-handed tonight. Now this jar is straight out of the oven. Like I said earlier, I only pull the jars out as I need them. That way they're always staying nice and hot in the oven. And you're going to jam pack this as much as you can. I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon of dill, a 1/2 teaspoon of peppercorn, a 1/2 teaspoon of coriander, and a 1/2 teaspoon of mustard seed. And I didn't do it on this video, but you're also going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can add your spices before or after filling them with the rinds. It really doesn't matter. I do it both ways because sometimes I forget to put the spices in there first. However, I prefer to do it before I fill them with the rinds because when I pour the vinegar in, I don't want to get spices on the rim of the jar. You want to fill your jars up to about 1 inch from the rim, and that's going to be that first ridge on the jar there. So I've got a little bit of room left in my jar, so I'm going to add some of these littler pieces that I cut up, and then I'm also going to add my garlic cloves and my chili. I like to add these last because I like them to be on the side of the jar so you can see them because I think it looks pretty. Now I'm just adding those extra little pieces to fill up the rest of the space at the top. And remember, you don't want to go past that first ridge. Now we're ready to fill this up with our brine. Don't forget to add that 1 teaspoon of sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of salt before you do this, because I didn't show it on the video. So you're going to pour this in and you're going to fill it up to about a quarter of an inch from the rim. Now you're going to take a skinny spatula or some kind of non-metal tool that you can use to push your pickles to the side. You're kind of going to wedge it between the pickles and the side of the jar, and this is going to help get rid of any air bubbles that might be stuck in the middle of the fruit. Always make sure to wipe the rim of your jar with a clean rag to make sure there isn't any spices or anything on the rim that will keep this from sealing. And then you're going to remove your ring and your lid from the boiling water, and you're going to put that on top, and you're going to screw the ring on finger tight. So you're not going to screw it on super tight, just as tight as your fingers will do it on their own. Now I'm making the chili lime flavor, and I just added 1/2 teaspoon, or actually a whole teaspoon of the chili lime tahin powder with 1/2 teaspoon of sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then I'm pouring my brine in. And again, I'm using my skinny spatula to push the fruit aside to make sure that there isn't any air bubbles stuck in the middle. And I also added 2 cloves of garlic to this one. Before you fill this up the rest of the way with your brine and before you put the lid on, make sure all of your fruit is below that first ridge line. Now I'm going to make the som tum Thai flavor, and I'm going to use a whole teaspoon of the chili lime powder, and then I'm also going to use the shredded watermelon pieces, and these are the ones that I cut real thin, and then I just kept cutting them down until they were these nice tiny shreds. I'm adding several cloves of garlic to this because som tum has quite a bit of garlic in it, and I just love the garlic flavor. I can't help it. It's one of my favorite spices to use. Now I'm using a little less than 1/4 teaspoon of shrimp paste, and beware, this stuff is really stinky, so if you're not used to using it, you may want to have people leave the room or do this on a day when you don't have company. I put that shrimp paste in the middle of the jar, so I'm adding more of the watermelon rind on top of that. And then I'm going to add 2 Thai chilies. If you don't like spicy food, you may want to just use half of a Thai chili because these are pretty strong. I'm going to keep packing these in, and I'm going to fill this up until, again, it's about an inch from the rim of the jar. That would be that first ridge on your jar. I'm adding in 1/2 teaspoon of coriander seeds. I'd like to use fresh cilantro in this, but I don't have any right now. And then I'm also adding about 1/2 teaspoon of fish sauce. I didn't show it in the video, but I also added 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. I'm not adding any salt to this because the fish sauce and the shrimp paste is really salty. Now we're going to pour our brine in, and again, the brine's going to go in about 1/4 inch from the rim. Again, we're going to move stuff around with our skinny spatula to get any air bubbles out from the middle of the fruit, and then we're going to pack this down firmly again and then fill it up with some more brine if we need to. Again, I'm packing this down, making sure all of my fruit is at or below that first ridge. Now I'm adding some more brine until it's about 1/4 inch from the rim. Now I'm getting my water bath ready. You want to make sure you've got enough water in there to cover the top of your jars by at least an inch. I like to add a splash of vinegar to the water to keep my jars clean. When the water starts to boil, you're going to put your jars in, and you're going to start your timer for 10 minutes. It's important to make sure that your water is boiling before you start your 10-minute timer. Also, depending on your altitude, you may have to add 5 minutes to this, so make sure to look online for the altitude guidelines for processing. When the 10 minutes is up, you can remove the jars from the water bath and set them somewhere where they will be undisturbed for 24 hours. You want to make sure that your jar lids have sealed properly, and if they are sealed properly, the top lid will be concaved a little bit. It should look like this. If it didn't seal properly, there will be a little bump there like this. Now this one's not done processing because I just took it out of the canner. Also, you want to make sure to write what it is and the date, and these will be good on the shelf for about a year. If for some reason your jars did not seal correctly, you can keep them in the refrigerator for probably a couple months. Also, you'll know when they've sealed because you may hear the lid pop. It'll make a cute little popping sound. And that can happen within the first hour. It could happen several hours later. And I also wanted to mention that if you notice that it didn't seal within 24 hours, you can actually put it back into the water bath and process it again. However, I don't recommend it because watermelon rinds that are pickled are already really tender and they'll just end up being kind of soggy and gross. But you only have that 24-hour window to process it again. After 24 hours, you just need to stick them in the fridge. You can't reprocess them. Here is the dehydrated watermelon, and you guys, it is so good. I put a little desiccant pack in there to keep it nice and fresh, but these are so sweet and they're chewy, kind of like a gummy, and they do not taste like watermelon at all. Like, the best way I could describe it is like cotton candy. Like when you smash down cotton candy, it tastes like cotton candy. It's pure sugar, and I did leave a couple of seeds in there that I missed, but they're easy to get out. But yeah, they're pretty good. My only thing is this is sweeter than candy, like a lot sweeter. It's pure sugar. It tastes like pure sugar. So I don't know if this would be a very healthy treat to be eating all the time, but if you treat it as candy, then it's totally fine to have a piece every now and then. But I definitely recommend trying it if you want to make some homemade candy. It tastes really good. We really like it, and I think I'll definitely be making these again. And it was really easy to do. I just stuck them in the dehydrator. You guys saw the triangle pieces that I was cutting, and that's all I had to do. But it did take a full day, like a whole 12 hours or so, to dehydrate all the way down. So a little bit longer than normal, but I'm sure if you cut them thinner, it wouldn't take that long. But I wouldn't cut them any thinner because they end up being really thin anyway. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We try to post a video every single day, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.